Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When it comes to home and auto insurance, it's important to have the right coverage from a company and an agent you can trust. Someone who will help you properly protect the people and things you love most. So if the unexpected happens, you and your family can rest insured. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going good. We are moving right along. We have another great guest today. We'll get to that, but we need to talk about our picks.
Yeah, so this guy, Teaser, is a competitor, and we've chosen not to make a prediction on how he does this weekend for you guys because we are not good at it for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, our Super Bowl predictions, listeners that listen all the time, were really, really bad.
But we're happy about it.
I'm okay with it.
Because I didn't actually want the Chiefs to win. I just thought they would.
Yeah, it was very surprising what happened. But yeah, we were way off. Like it wasn't even
bad.
Like really, really bad. But I guess, it could be, we could have been wrong the wrong way, I guess.
I listened and I did say, or you said, one of us said, we did not think Saquon Barkley would just run all over this team and win the game.
That was right.
And he did not run all over the team. They just had a really great game plan for when, hey, if they stop Saquon, we're going to do something else. We didn't have that in our prediction, so I'm going to say by next year, we were like a half right,
We'll be right on it this next time. So
you guys have to tune in for an entire year so you can hear us try to do this again.
Yeah, we'll try to do it again next year. Probably fail at it again. But so we have a great guest today. We are doing a story for a video about him and his son. So we're doing a story on the Phillips. They are tractor pull guys. So it's pretty cool. I've only been to a couple tractor pulls in my life, and I remember just taking my boy to one and when he was a little bitty guy. So it's a lot of fun. So I think people are really going to like him. He's very passionate about what he's doing. And so I think you've probably been to a few more tractor pulls than me, I'm guessing.
I feel like you're kind of country, segregating me, but you're correct because no, but it is funny. I always laugh. It's not to gender this, but there is something in male DNA that if an engine revs and by God smoke comes out of a smokestack, they can't help it. There's a moment where you guys are just having any child from any background, any age, it's just like, here it goes.
Well, that's my son. He was probably 2. He's got the big noise canceling deals on his head, and I'm just holding him. And we're pretty close. We got the good old Farm Bureau tickets. We got some good tickets here and there. So we're real close, and man, he was like, yes, like when the first one went. He thought the big tractor, everything was cool, but when they started going, I think he was like a little scared, but also like a little like this is.
But I got to see it, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. We actually had one come at us, and I thought like, okay, he's gonna cry, and he just turned to me and was like, yeah, So yeah, they're a lot of fun. I tell folks like, you see it on TV, if you're not into it. It doesn't give it justice. It's way cooler in person.
I compare it to baseball. And maybe you love watching baseball on TV, but I love baseball in person, and I can watch playoff baseball. Like we're getting closer to the World Series, I can watch that on TV. But for the most part, I got to be in person. I think tractor pulls is an in-person sport.
Oh, yeah.
Like you watch a video and it's like, but you're right there and you're seeing it and you're hearing it and you're feeling it. It's just different.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you got to see.
There's a lot of sports like that. Hockey's like that. I think it's probably just way cooler in person. And tractor pulls, certainly. NASCAR races. We went to a couple of races in Sparta. RIP.
But
it's a really neat thing to see. And these guys are very known in the tractor pull world. So this is like a superstar here in the studio.
Yeah, we're going to do it for him because he is so humble. But guys, this guy's, they win national pulls constantly. And we've asked him this off to the side, so you don't hear us ask him in here, but he just goes, yeah, we win a few.
Yeah.
But they are, I strongly encourage you to follow their Facebook page or just do a dig on it and just see these guys are really successful, and they're in Meade County. They're just right down the road, and they farm. They got cows. They're just normal people that picked up a really cool hobby, and they just excel at it.
Yeah,
I think it's so neat.
This is their family thing. This is what they do. This is their weekend. This is their fun thing. So I think folks are really going to like this conversation we have.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, I'm Renee Carrico.
And I'm Matt Hilton.
And this is Between the Rows. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And hey, Larry, how's it going?
Good.
Welcome to the studio here in Louisville, and you are in Louisville for something coming up here. Tell us a little about what's coming up here.
So it's Farm Show Week, National Tractor Pull Week. So, some people say that's the week of holidays, So, but so we're up here for the tractor pull, and we'll compete Saturday afternoon in the afternoon session.
Yeah. So tell me about your background. You have a diverse background. We've actually been out to your farm and I got to know you a little bit. So tell us a little about your background.
So how far back? So we grew up on a dairy farm, and we dairied till like in the 80s, late 80s, no, early 80s. And then once I graduated in the spring of 81 and got away from the dairy, and we went into the construction business. So we've always had farm activity, whether it was beef cows or dairy. So now we're just all into beef. So we run about, 150 head of commercial cows. My wife is taking care of those. And then along the way, we've always been around the tractor pulling, because there's so many tractor pullers in our county, Meade County, that there was two buddies, older gentlemen that I always looked up to. And so I used to go with them as a kid. And that's how I used to get to the farm show. My mom brought me when I was 5, so got hooked. And then, so anyway, back to my buddies. So we're going and going and going. We go every weekend usually. And so one Sunday, we was in Tompkinsville, Kentucky, and it was with Jerry Sipes. And anyway, he looked at me and he handed me a fire suit. He said, "Today's your day." Shoot. So anyway, that was my big day.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, my gosh.
but I was hooked. You know? So once you get that rush, it's something you don't never forget. I mean, it's there every time. So unless you take a real crazy ride, But anyway, we're heavily involved in tractor pulling.
Yeah. So tell us, what was that first ride like? And you said it's like it every time. Something we came to your farm and interviewed you, and I was like, describe what it's kind of like, and is that feeling the same? Like you just said, it was the same as it's always been.
Yeah. So the first time we was at a fairgrounds there in Tompkinsville, and the track, you had to go through a gate at the end. So needless to say, the tractor run really good, and I went through that gate with the sled. And so anyway, I mean, like I said, that was just hooked. But what it feels like every time, I think I may have told you this the other day, but if you're sitting in a jet airplane and the guy throttles are over and you're going down the taxiway and you sit back in that seat, that's the feeling. That's the feeling.
Every time.
Yeah.
Just in a fire suit.
Yeah, just in a fire suit.
So I can get why it's probably kind of fun every time. Yeah.
So for those, I grew up in far west Kentucky, and so we saw the pulls. I was just used to having a lot of those around, but I have moved this way, and some people don't make it up there every time. They go to the to the farm show, but maybe they don't stay for the pulls. Explain what's a sled, what are you using? Kind of explain to people what is this process for those that have never seen it or done it.
So the sleds nowadays, they're not an incline sled, so they're kind of a downhill sled, and then when you hook to that sled and you're going down the track, that box is moving forward, and it puts pressure on the pan that's on the ground. Uh-huh. And as that pressure goes on, it's giving you a little bit of resistance. So, this day and time, it's how fast you can get going.
Okay.
And so how fast if you can get going, the further you'll go. But back in the day, it was like tug pulling. The old sleds that went up the hill, it was about horsepower then. Yeah.
So what weights are we talking? Just for people to get a gauge of what kind of weights are we pulling?
So those weights they're like big lead weights, and they're in that box on that sled, on that pan, the box that moves up the sled. Usually we're around 48,000 pounds is what we're pulling. So
just a little bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
So, but it's all about, that hoe shot, what we call the hoe shot. So a good sled operator, he'll let us get up and get moving, and then he brings the pressure on you.
Yeah.
So, and And again, I don't know, it's just an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about how did it get started? Was this just guys being competitive, flexing on each other? Their tractor's better than your tractor. How did this get going all those years ago?
It's always been between a John Deere or International or a Ford, Alice Chandler. So, everybody thought they had the best. And so it's just real competitive. Probably worse back then it is now because all these guys that we run with, we'll do anything for any of them. So, but yeah, it was, this farmer, I'm gonna beat you this year at the county fair, So, and I mean, there's a neighbor there below us. He's passed away now, but I think I told you this the other day. They'll bring their farm tractors in after they get done cropping, and they'll strip these tractors down. Sometimes they'll change the injection pumps on them, turn the fuel crank up a little bit, and they'll try to, soup them up a little bit. A farm tractor.
Oh my gosh.
So this guy was doing that in his driveway, and he blowed his tractor up.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So needless to say, he didn't make the county fair.
Yeah.
But,
No.
and I think that was probably the last year that he'd done it. But he was a local farmer there beside us.
So you talked about souping up. What's the difference for farmers that don't really know the difference between the tractor they got on their farm and what you had in your garage the other night? What's the difference of a pulling tractor and a regular tractor today?
So nowadays, there's nothing about a tractor. It's all components. The only thing that's stock in our tractors is the block.
Oh my God.
Everything else is either machine, you buy or you make. But we got truck rear ends that is in our frames, and then we got transmissions that are they'll come in a box. You just set them in, and then you got your motor and turbos. So
Everything a tractor has.
yeah.
So we make this joke on this podcast a lot. So the joke is I'm more the ag person. I grew up in farming, and Matt calls himself the city kid. But we compare a lot of these things, whether it's showing livestock, whether it's different aspects of what ag rural families are doing. It's very similar to what his kids did with travel ball or competitive cheerleading. So explain to us maybe, because I know showing livestock, I just grew up in the barn, and it sounds like that's exactly what you did. You just grew up at the farm show. You grew up at these county fairs. Talk about bringing your boys in. How did that go? Just bringing the family up doing it.
So the year I bought a pulling tractor was with Jerry Sipes, and got married that year and bought a pulling tractor the same year. And everybody said, man, that's kind of odd. Your wife let you buy a pulling tractor the first year. I said, yeah, it's the best wife I've got. I mean, it's just the best thing that ever happened. So we still joke about it. But, I brought her, she's from Hazard. And so I was working in East Kentucky for a few years. And I asked her out on a date. And I said, you want to go to a tractor pull? Well, in East Kentucky, they don't know what a tractor pull is. And she said, well, I've never been one, never seen one. I said, okay, fine, let's go. So we leave Hazard one night, and we drive to Temple Hill, Kentucky. So anyway, she liked it. So then we bought one. And from then on, I mean, she will have our bags packed and ready to go every weekend that we're going somewhere. So she's into it. She loves it too.
Yeah. So you got your sons involved. We'll actually see your one of your boys doing it also with you on Saturday.
So two boys. My oldest boy, he runs like the Kentucky series with Battle of Bluegrass or TNT or KTPA. I burn him out from traveling, so he don't like to travel. So he likes to stay close to home, but he runs in a different class. Now my youngest boy, and he's into it. So we got these light supers. And so he got introduced to that. I think that actually the first time he went down the track, he was 12.
Wow.
Yeah. And so anyway, it was like, I think he told you the story there. So we was at Hardin County Fair. And anyway, I wasn't suited up or nothing. He kept looking around, what's going on here? So anyway, I handed him a fire suit. And so from then on, so he was in.
Yeah.
But I brought all my kids in. Even my daughter, she wants to drive. And I actually took her out in the field one time and just tried to let her just drive it around a little bit. That's when we had a diesel tractor. And I don't know. I don't think this is going to work out for either one of us. So anyway, but they all went, and they all love going. I mean, my daughter, she's been here. She comes every night with us. So her and her husband.
Yeah. So speak about this is pro, right? How does this work? What are these leagues and these different things? I don't have any clue. Like, what are the different, what are you in? Is there like a league, like an NFL or something like that of tractor pulling?
So there's 2 circuits that we run in, most generally. So there's the NTPA. So we run a Grand National Circuit, which takes us, to Wisconsin, to Iowa, Ohio, Tennessee. I mean, it's just kind of everywhere. But we usually make about 12 events, those events. So they're a little bit more stressful because you're in competition, and it's, some of those are televised, so you really want to do well. And then there's PPL. So we run with them a little bit. But, you go where we've been in it too long enough, we kind of know where the good tracks are, so that's what you want to go to. You want to go to the good tracks.
Yeah. So what is the Daytona 500 of tractor pulling? Like, what's the big dog?
Well, probably right here.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So you got this one. You got Toma, Wisconsin, which is a big one, and Bowling Green, Ohio.
Cool.
So, if you had to put them in order, you could put them in a cup and pull them out. They'd all be, ranked right up there. But this one, because we're so close to home, it makes it nice.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
So when we're talking about this, for those that have been going in and out of the farm show, like my husband and my father-in-law just bought scales for a cattle shoot yesterday. But we're within an hour, so we're very similar to you guys. If we need something and we want to go get the show deal, quote unquote, we run in right after work, they grab it, and then they roll back. Some of them don't stay for the pulls. Talk to us about what's the difference in each night maybe of the week, and what's the significance of maybe, like I saw some on Facebook last night, we qualified for the next piece. So talk through, for those that may be visiting or grabbing some tickets from friends, what do these different nights mean?
So here in Louisville, every night there's a different puller. And there's 4 classes each night, 12 people, 12 hooks in each class. And you only get to run once here unless you make those finals. And the finals are Saturday night. So, that's what's unique about Louisville is you don't see the same tractor or the truck. You see somebody different in every class. So we've only had one session here that we got into the finals, and they took our class out of the finals because it's just, I guess it got a little bit overwhelming for them guys. And, they're trying to get done on Saturday night, get the dirt back out. You used to play ball there the next day, so. But anyway, that's pretty much the process.
So the plan is to make a good run and hope it gets you into the finals on Saturday night. Yeah.
So our Saturday afternoon session is kind of our finals. Yeah. So, there's 12 of us, and me and Brandon are the only ones from Kentucky this year. There's some guys from Tennessee, Iowa, Wisconsin. Trying to think of another one. But, I mean, they're just scattered out. But it's 12 of the best.
So are these guys like, you name all these states just right off the top of your head, are they like family when you see them so often at all these national groups? I mean, it's easy to think like your Tennessee guy or maybe some guys out of Ohio. Yeah, you see them, even some that cross the lines. But you're talking about these guys you meet in Wisconsin or Iowa. I mean, do they kind of become family?
Oh, yeah. And they'll all do the same as we would. We'll all help one another. So, the one guy from Tennessee, Martin Daniels, he actually brought me my tractor last year from the shop because it was in Wisconsin. So, I mean, I said, well, Martin, let me pay. No, don't worry about it. He won't take no money. But, I was just thankful that he brought it to us, But, we'll all help one another. So it ain't like a grudge match or nothing.
Yeah.
Another friend of ours, Mike Savey, we run together for years. We actually was teammates in a trailer together. And he was like my dad, my stepdad, and he said, son, I think a lot of you. But he said, when I back up to that sled and that hook goes in that hole, he said, you're on your own. But
I think a lot of us can find that very relatable. Just pick your sport. But yeah.
Well, that's probably a little bit of it. Y'all help each other out so that you can actually compete against each other.
Yeah.
Like, let's get in there, make sure everybody's ready, so that I can actually beat you. You know, that's probably a little bit of it. Yeah.
So how do you balance? We ask this to everybody. How do you balance maybe doing all the pulling? You said your wife does a lot on the cattle side, but the construction, but different pieces of your life when you're traveling this much. Kind of what's the balance? How do you decide who stays home, who goes with? I mean, how do y'all figure that out?
Well, you gotta plan out a little schedule. So we try on the farm. I backed all my bulls up so I don't start calving until March 1, because I went through that one year while I was at the farm show. I was calving. It's like, whoa, I ain't very smart at this, but so that's one episode. You just plan around because they put out the schedule. And so we know the weeks we're going to go and where we want to go. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of work that in your schedule and work around it. So
one thing that I've learned, again, City Boy, that is very intense in the competition is the red tractor, green tractor, blue tractor, yellow, all the different tractors. Is that, I'm guessing, very much involved in tractor pulls?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that. For folks that don't know what I'm talking about, talk about just that competitiveness with their tractor brand, their team they're on.
So everybody's got their favorites, and we've always had a red tractor, international tractor, and there's a couple reasons why I like the red. I like the 1066 series sheet metal. That's what we've always had. And then you get a guy that's got a Ford, and that's all he'll pull. The guys from Wisconsin. There's a couple buddies of ours up there. And then you get some guys that like the orange tractors, the Alice Chandler tractors. But, it's whatever they pick. It ain't no different than going to a car lot, whether you want a Ford or a Chevy. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the same way it works.
Yeah.
So we ended up with a green tractor in our fleet, and everybody made fun of me. But the ones that knew me, the people that knew me, has been to our farm. That's the only red tractors we got, other than some antiques and some collectibles. So then we bought this Deere and added to our process. And they said, well, you put a John Deere on your farm. I said, you don't understand. Those are just pulling tractors, but all of our other farm tractors are all John Deere. Mm-hmm. So
that's funny.
So yeah, I get a lot of, I usually get teased pretty good about that.
So just the sheer mass of the equipment you're hauling to these, I mean, like, how many trailers does it take? How many flatbeds are we hauling? You headed to Wisconsin. I mean, how far ahead do you leave? I mean, I'm just thinking of the schematics. Like, we go to a hog show, and we've got the trailer and normally a second vehicle, and we're going for a long one that's got all the extra, the coolers, the this, the that, the extra bags. I mean, but we're just hauling hogs. How many trucks and trailers and time does that take on the hauling for going far away?
So we got one enclosed trailer behind a toter home.
Okay.
And that rig itself is 94 feet long total. So we carry 2 tractors and a support vehicle in there, in the trailer. And also it's got living quarters because that's where Brandon and his wife and the grandbaby sleep. So, and then we got little what we call little trailers that if we just wanted to go from here to Bowling Green or here to Nashville, we'd take a smaller trailer. So we're not broke out with those big trailers. We just have one.
Gotcha. So there's grandbabies there.
Oh yeah.
Are they ate up with it?
Oh yeah. Brandon and Tori's baby, Grayson. I mean, he sees that truck pull out of our shed. Where's Papa going? What's Papa doing? Uh-huh. I mean, he's like on the phone. She'll call me. Say, "Oh, Grayson's he's having a meltdown. He won't know where you're going." So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then my daughter, she's got 2. So they was at the farm show last night. He's 7 and she's 3. So she don't really understand all that. She just, was playing with her Barbie dolls and, checking out all the people. But yeah, so all the grandbabies, they're into it.
So are they confused when you're the one not pulling? Like when your rig's not out there, or they just love the whole environment?
No, not really. They understand. I mean, I think they understand the difference in classes,
Yeah.
So they know Papa only pulls one time.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, at the farm show.
Yeah. So you talked about your sons being involved. Is that your sons and maybe those grandkids kind of the future of your pulling team here? I mean,
well, I'm hoping so. I've raised all my kids. Me and Linda did. They growed up around tractor pulling. I'll tell you another little story about that. So, but they never was into sports. They was always into tractors, and Brandon, he was always the tallest kid in his class, and they wanted him to play ball, but he said no, that gets into the tractor pull schedule. So,
I love that.
So he wouldn't do that. But when we was pulling, when they was all babies, so I would go to my friends that wasn't competing, like whether it was a 4-wheel drive guy or a 2-wheel drive guy, because obviously they go in steps there. So we would go ask somebody to babysit for us. So now Brandon, he knows all of those guys because at some point in time, they've been babysitted by, they babysitted him.
Oh, how neat.
Yeah,
so everybody just takes turns watching the other group's kids while you make your run.
Yeah.
And then you trade back. That's awesome. What a family.
Back in the day, Linda would video everything. And so that way you kind of watch those and learn a little bit, So I was telling Matt the other day, so one bad experience we had, we was in Montgomery City, Missouri one weekend in a competition. And I don't know, that tractor got upset and it one-wheeled, what you call one-wheel. It brought one wheel up out of the ground, and sled caught up with me, and it rolled me over. So I'm just hanging there in my roll cage. So I look up, and I see my wife running. Shoot. I thought tractor pulling was over.
Oh, gosh.
But anyway, we got through that, got it home, put it back together. She got over it. And but anyway, while I was there and hanging upside down that roll cage, this little guy walks up and he says, "Larry, you want me to let you out? Because I got a turnbuckle,
Right.
I said, "Look, I'm about 250 pounds. I would rather just sit right here because I'm not hurt yet. And if you turn and let me out, I'm going to hurt both of us." So, so I said, "Please don't." So here comes all the buddies and everybody, and they just rolled me back over, because
Wow.
our tractor don't weigh but 6,200 back then. So, but anyway, it was kind of funny, but it wasn't funny because it was long ride home and real quiet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So what do you mean? You went up in one wheel, and how did the sled? I'm not.
So the back of the pan, I was getting a little sideways. So and the sled wasn't with me.
Yeah.
So you kind of turned because that chain is only so long. So when I turned, the sled didn't turn. So this wheel catches and it'll just roll you up.
Wow.
I've seen it happen before, and now I understand how it happened because I've been there.
So in the world of videos, and everyone likes to watch destruction and things blow up and all those. I've got a brother that's 18, so his little buddies over in West Kentucky, some of them, they always go to the tractor pulls, West Kentucky State Fair, and that's the only thing. He doesn't send me videos of the good pulls. I get the videos of the smoke, videos of a rollover, Explain to people the safety precautions, because I think a lot of people see just the really bad. But you say fire suit, you say a roll bar. Explain to them how many precautions are taken to make sure you guys are safe, to make sure it's not your last pull.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very important for people to understand. This is dangerous, but there are precautions being made to make sure you guys can see the next day and do it again.
Sure. So I think we talked a little bit about that the other day. There's a rule book that we have to go by. And most generally every rule in there is rode around an accident.
Okay.
So, we got roll cages now, we got fire suits, we got fire extinguishers, we got inner panels. So if anything comes out of the motor, it don't get up into the crowd, because that's happened. I'm sure y'all have heard of the flywheel episodes. They cast arm ones, they come apart and go into the crowd, hurt somebody. So, you got scatter blankets, you got clutch cans, they're just, and kill switches. So if the sled guy sees you getting upset and he thinks it's to a safety point, he can kill you. He can pull your pin.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's there for everybody. Like you said, we all want to go home.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everybody's just trying to have fun and do something a little wild, but everybody, yeah, right. Everybody wants to just go home and do it right. Yeah, these are, getting eyes on these. They're a piece of machinery for sure, and I can see like the roll cage, and it's a good thing it's there from what you're telling on that
Absolutely.
story. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I always tell people there's nothing safe anymore. I mean, kids can't play sports without getting hurt. You can't do. I mean, you just can't do anything without it having a chance of injury. But it's a matter of doing it to hit that fun, but as much safety as you can. So I do think that's important. I didn't realize how into videos of destruction kids were, and that's just the world we live in now. It's the 10-second video. Well, the 10-second video is never the good pull. It's always the smoke. And so I think it's important for people to understand. And I've been to the pulls in Louisville quite a few times, and I'll be honest, I've never seen the terrible ones. You know, you'll see a guy, I guess that was a kill switch and I didn't realize what it was. You know, they'll stop short or something will quit, or you'll see a little smoke and nothing, they pull them out. For the most part, this is done in a very safe manner, and I just kind of wanted to make sure people knew that, because otherwise, why would you be doing it for your whole lifetime?
Absolutely, nobody needs to get hurt.
So. Right. So where can folks learn about y'all? I saw some stuff online. Is there a way to follow your team and what y'all are doing?
So we got a Facebook called Insanity Pulling Team, and Tori and Brandon usually keeps that up to date. You know, new things, where we're going, whatever. But yeah, you can follow us on the Facebook page.
Yeah, and people can come see you. This will post afterwards. So,
when does it start in the summer? When do you guys kind of start hitting some of the county fair circuits in the summer?
Usually about May, because the end of May they got a hook in Benson, North Carolina. Usually, we either go there or we go to Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Awesome.
So usually about May.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So, yeah, this will post technically after. So, y'all look it up and see how they did on Saturday, of course. But, yeah, if you want to see and follow along on Facebook, you can start seeing where you guys are headed kind of beginning of the summer.
Sure.
And people can kind of follow along until it gets close enough they want to go visit and watch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, congrats and good luck. And be safe out there for everybody. And we'll be there. We're alluding to a video that we're actually working on. We're doing a story on the Phillips duo here. For social media, so look for that in the future, and you'll be able to see how they do also. But yeah, be safe out there, and we're excited for it.
Well, thank you.
Good luck, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll quit pestering you one of these days. But you guys are too fun of a story, so we keep getting you every way we can.
Well, there's always a lot of stories, so
we appreciate you.
And we've been 33 years doing this, so there's a lot of stories out there. So.
That's why we got to keep showing back up so you can think of another one to tell us.
Exactly.
Some of your other friends may tell us to quit showing up, quit telling stories. No, but we know we took some time out of your day. Y'all are getting amped up to go back over there, so appreciate your time, and we'll wrap it up. But thank you, listeners. Be sure to subscribe to our larger podcast, Kentucky Farm Life, and we will see you next time on Between the Rows.